Welcome everyone, I'm Bridget Cook-Burch and I am so excited to introduce you to a great friend and author. This is Wendy Hooton, and she has an incredible, inspiring story that she's going to share with you. So Wendy, please tell us the name of your book and also what your book is all about.
So the name of my book is Big People Don't Pee in the Park, A Mother and Son's Journey with Down Syndrome. And my book is about my journey with my son who has Down syndrome. He surprised me with his diagnosis a little over 32 years ago, and when he was first born, I had a lot of emotions that I was going through. My hope with my book is to share our story and to help any new moms or new parents who may need reassurance or comfort as they're embarking on their journey.
As you were working on the book, there were a number of things like the title and some of the other pieces. So I don't want you to give away the story behind the title because you're gonna have to get the book to see what this is all about. But there was also some controversy, a little controversy about using this particular title, and let us know like the importance behind both the humor and also the fact that, you know, this can be a serious subject. So tell us a little bit about that.
You're right, it is about a part of the story. One of the chapters has to do with the title. But it's also a bunch of stories comprised of navigating through the don'ts with Down syndrome. And things like, don't worry about the future, don't worry about, you know, whether they're, you know, doing the same as other children, don't compare. But at the same time, I want people to know that as hard as it has been at times, it's been a life full of joy, a life full of fun, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I know that sounds cliche, but because it seems like everybody who's along this journey at some point ends up saying, I wouldn't change this for anything. And I mean, it's been a world of joy with my son.
Which is beautiful. And doesn't that say something that eventually, as people have been on the path, that they'll say, I wouldn't trade it for anything. But you're also reaching to some of those new parents who might have, you know, an unexpected diagnosis, or, you know, anyone who finds that they're growing a child or going to give birth to a child with an extra chromosome. And you're hitting on something that, you know, we've been looking at in society as far as sometimes the perfection of things. And in our search for perfection, that sometimes we might even rid ourselves of some of the greatest joy. I love how you say there's a party in that extra chromosome. And so would you tell us one of your stories, something that has been so fun? Your son's name is Matt.
Yeah.
And he is such a character. Like, I have loved reading your chapters and getting to know this inexplicably beautiful man. And, you know, who started off as this child, and as a product of you, he's full of humor and laughter and dance. But tell us like one of the stories where you got to know Matt really well.
I have to say, I have to give him some of the credit for my humor. I mean, I've never been a very serious person anyway, growing up, but my son, when I first had him, and I didn't think that, you know, I thought my world was ending, everything was crashing down. It actually was just the opposite, and he has brought out so much fun in our lives. I mean, he's always putting me in uncomfortable situations. And yet you can't do anything but laugh about it, right? So he'll just start dancing on a whim. You know, a good song will come on and he'll just start dancing on a whim. And, you know, I just have to stop and go, okay, it's okay to not be serious all the time. It's okay to let your hair down. And he has taught me to, you know, not care what others think, just to live in the moment. And so, you know, you say, share one of my stories. That's hard to do when they're kind of they end the same, you know, they end with laughter, and for the most part. I mean, there are some hard times, but, you know, I do have as an example, just the other night, I'm cooking dinner and I turn around and Macklemore's song, the $20 in your pocket, I'm gonna go buy Granddad's coat. He comes marching out of the room with Granddad's scarf on. His granddad's passed away, and my mom's hat, and she has also passed away. And he's dancing and singing, and he's, is that Granddad's scarf, or you wearing Grandma's hat? And I mean, I'm knee deep into tacos, and next thing I know, I'm just laughing as my son is dancing away to this song. So he just dances his way through.
Pop some tags and dance along.
Exactly. And that's kind of what it's been like, just dancing through life with him. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. He does have that ability to bring that out in you, and then also your husband, and just the beautiful life. So in the beginning, things were a little tough, and tell us about, why this book you felt was so important to write. Who are you reaching with this book?
Well, I was 23 when I had my son, and at that time, 32 years ago, there wasn't a lot of information out there about Down syndrome. I hadn't been exposed to people with Down syndrome, and so the little I did know, I was terrified. I thought my son's life, my life was doomed, for better lack of word. I didn't know what our future held for us. There weren't a whole lot of resources, and what I knew was what I could find was scary. And so since the birth of my son, so much has changed. You've got inclusion in the schools, you've got social media, you've got support groups, you've got parents rallying together, and there's just a lot more available to help new moms and dads or parents who are going through this. But the one thing that I noticed a couple of years ago was, even though all of this has, gotten better and it continues to get better, is that those emotions when you first have that baby are still there. And, it's just fear of the unknown. And so when I started seeing these new parents, sharing these emotions on social media, my heart just broke. It took me back to 32 years ago with my own child. And then it just hit me, these parents need to know this life is amazing, and I'm 32 years into this, and I want them to see what their future holds in store for them. So that was my intent in writing this book, is to hopefully reach these new parents who may need just that reassurance that first, it's okay to feel what you're feeling right now. Right. And two, look at what you get your party hats, and because everything becomes a celebration from that moment forward.
Yeah, and your son might end up married to someone super famous too, right?
Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, my son is married to Katy Perry. If you ask him, he tells everybody that's his wife. So, and that's been fun, living that with him.
Yeah, and when the other girls flirt with him, yeah, it's wonderful. So I love that you're digging, that you chose to dig deep on this one. You chose to be very real and raw about your own experience, to give permission for them to feel things, not shove it down, and then also to be aware of just the joy of it. Tell me about the writing of your book. What did that do inside of you, and what did you learn from your experience?
Well, it helped me to relive all of these great moments that I've already had the opportunity to live once. And as I've relived them, it's taking me in deeper, actually. I've really had the opportunity to reflect back upon those moments and those stories, and to overall see just how amazing the people in our life have been, the outreach, the support. I have a line in my book, you know, normally it takes a village to raise a child, but I feel like in my situation, I have my own little city, you know, with a lot of citizens who have stepped forward and who have been a part of raising my child. But that was what I got out of writing my book.
Wow, so a lot of gratitude and joy. I love how Anais Nin says, we write to taste life twice. And so you've been able to taste life twice, the hard things, but then also the wondrous, the miracles, the beauty of this. Mm-hmm. And tell me too, because I know, you know, you've been an advocate for so long after, you know, beginning to raise your boy and firsthand seeing sometimes how society might treat someone that's a little different. And you've had so many wonderful people that have just showed up again and again, and how amazing that is. But also, what would you love for readers to know? Because some people might have been raised in, you know, where everybody is just everybody, and in a school where no one was ever, you know, taken out. So what was the history that Down syndrome, people with Down syndrome had to face for the last several centuries?
Initially, they were institutionalized. I mean, I had my son 32 years ago, and in the 80s, they were still being put into institutions when they were born. But, you know, as time has gone on and they've not been put into these institutions, they've been able to thrive, and they can do more. People can, I mean, they're holding jobs, they are getting married, they're going to college, you know, and it's because they're able to, you know, be out into the world with the rest of the kids their age, the people their age. And that's the one thing when you first started asking this question, is that I just want to say that those people with Down syndrome, or even any kind of special needs, they're more like us than different. And so I just really like to focus on their abilities and not their disability. And as a result, you know, raising my son, I've just encouraged him to do anything and everything he's wanted to do. We've had some successes. We've had some, I learned that T-ball isn't the sport for it's not for any young kid anyway, but for somebody with Down syndrome who, you know, just really, he struggled with having any. He'd just sit out there and pick dandelions for me, but anyway, so yeah.
But he learned to love bowling.
Oh yeah, he's an avid bowler. He's got, I think his highest score is 193, and he doesn't use bumpers. So he bowls a lot better than I do.
He would kick my tail, I would say.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And he holds a green belt in karate, Kempo karate. And it takes a lot of work to earn those belts. So, you know, the one thing when I had my son, I left the hospital and I had goals for him. And what I did have to learn as we grew is that my goals kind of had to shift. So it doesn't hurt to set the bar high. And, you know, just as like with any other child, you find out what they can or can't do or have a desire to do, and then you just kind of, you know, find the fit for them.
Which is beautiful. I love this term that has come up lately, neurodiverse. Mm-hmm. And the reason I love that so much is, like, my own children had specific learning challenges. I had specific learning challenges. Like, I was reading by the time I was 3 years old, but there were other areas in which I struggled. Math and chemistry and a couple of other things. But there were places that I absolutely thrived. And to have a recognition now that we don't all fit into a box. And Matt certainly doesn't fit into a box. He's so wonderful. So, and what I love too is that you have given him so many opportunities to try new things without a fail or you're not even worried about it. You're like, okay, next adventure, he's into this. Let's see where he's going to take this. That is really fun. Was that a learning process for you to be able to let go of the reins a little bit? or was it something you had to learn really quickly and it served you?
I think I was just open-minded to, because like you said, I cannot do math. You know, there are things that I can't do, and so I just had to go, okay, if this isn't where he thrives, or that he if he's not showing an interest, you know, then I just had to put myself in his shoes and kind of go, well, if I didn't like that, why would I force myself to do it? So I think it was just being in tune to him and you know, paying attention to what I could tell he was enjoying or not enjoying.
What would your invitation be to any new parents who are have found themselves with an unexpected diagnosis? What would you share with them, like from your core?
Well, first of all, I would tell you congratulations. Second, I would tell you to love your baby, because that's exactly what it is. He's just a baby. And third, allow yourselves to go through those emotions. It's okay, honestly. You're not the only one who is feeling all of those things you may be feeling, and guilt is one of the things that comes with it, feeling guilty for feeling those feelings, having those feelings. So allow yourself the grief, the sadness, the anger, but be prepared to celebrate. Be prepared for a life of joy. You're not alone. That's what I would say. You're not alone. There's such a community out there. And, you know, reach out to me. And I mean, there's so many opportunities now.
I understand that you're speaking now, and that you'll also be on podcasts and several other types of media to spread the word. So tell us about who you'd love to speak with and who you're excited to be able to reach and touch.
Yeah, I'd love to speak with whoever needs me. You know, I mean, if it's parents, I'm happy to speak to parents individually. If it's groups who would like to hear my message, my story, my son's story, you know, I would be happy to speak with groups. My son and I are actually working on a podcast and another little project, so we're trying to get us out there that way too. But you know, I want to be there for whoever needs me is my intent.
Beautiful. I know your son's the same way. So last year he was honored at an event, a Down syndrome event in Colorado. And tell us a little bit about when he stole the stage.
So he's involved in the Best Buddies program, and it's an excellent program where they match up peers with other individuals who have special needs. And Matt and his buddy, they call him buddies, were honored in Denver, Colorado at the Best Buddies Champion of the Year. And it happened to be Matt's birthday as well, and Matt loves his birthday. So we had this big dance, and of course my son, who loves to dance, you know, he has no, you know, that the dance floor is one place where he doesn't recognize people's personal space. And he gets out there and he pulls out his every dance move you can think of, the Gangnam Style.
The Gangnam Style.
The twerk. You know, sometimes I'm having to bring back the MTV moves, bud. But anyway, he just was so excited. He loves music, so he hears the music going and he just takes over the dance floor. And yeah, so we had a great time. It was an awesome opportunity.
That's beautiful. And I love that you're doing things together as mother and son. And I think it also shows additional opportunities that are available for, you know, to strengthen family, but also individually, you're both growing stronger. And how wonderful. I would also like to suggest that not just parents of those who might have received an unexpected diagnosis, but family and loved ones, and also those of you who love heartwarming stories filled with humor and with some depth of human story, but also some amazing, beautiful triumph on the other side, and so much to celebrate. Such a party in that extra chromosome, which is wonderful. So Wendy, how can people get in touch with you? How can they learn more from you? How can they book you for speaking and find out more about your book?
I would invite you to go to my website, which is wendylhooton.com. That's WENDYLHOOTON.com. These individuals, they're actually our teachers. Without them, the world, they teach us compassion and forgiveness and unconditional love, and they have no agenda. And so, we can all learn from that, especially in today's time. Because he's so unconditional, it just makes me want to be kinder and more patient and look at the world differently through his eyes. I do try to look at the world through his eyes and see what he sees.